Okay, so this week's little video, I thought I'd just do a little top Gothic fragrances. You know, fragrances when you're in that kind of dark, sultry kind of place, which we are quite a lot of the time, especially when the weather's like this. So yeah, it's just going to be some fragrances based around that. Enjoy. First up on the list is the very famous Frederic Malle's Portrait of a Lady. Now, as we all know, it's a very rose dominant fragrance, but it is actually quite a dark fragrance. It's got these little touches of the patchouli. I get quite a bit, not everyone gets the patchouli, but I get quite a bit of patchouli. It's a little bit earthy. It's not dirty, but it's a little bit musky. It's what you'd imagine some dark old vampire smelling like. Do you know what I mean? The dark red roses while he's wearing his dark velvet clothes, swanning around slowly, coming towards you and charming you. And I think one smell of that fragrance and you certainly would be intoxicated. So that's the first one, Portrait of a Lady from Frederic Malle. Next on the list would be, I'd say, quite a surprising one maybe, and that is George Saharov's signature Pour Homme. And the reason I've picked that again is because it's the pure class. It does have that little bit of an old school kind of vibe about it. Not much is running through it though. And again, that gives it a very gentlemanly kind of tinge to it, kind of touch, where it's just very classy, very elegant. And again, I'm going with that kind of seductive goth. Again, obviously when I'm talking about goths, all I've got in my mind is bloody vampires, but I'm not saying all goths are vampires or whatever, but it is that kind of, you know, again, like a Victorian gentleman, long black coat tails, top hat, kind of cheeky wry smile, them piercing eyes, and it takes you back to that kind of otherworldly thing back then. You know, someone travelling abroad and smelling of all these beautiful spices and the darkness in it. And it is quite a, going back more to the goth thing, it is a kind of it's not melancholy, yeah, it is melancholic. It is one that you would sit and relax and ponder the shape of the world, you know, and see the kind of the darkness out there as it gets darker and darker on your skin, still with that little bit of sophisticated, beautiful sweetness. Next up on the list, it goes without saying, doesn't it, how could you have a gothic kind of vampire-y, whatever this video is turning into list, without having Noir de Noir? It's not the same as Portrait of a Lady, but it's got a similar sort of profile to it, except it's got this kind of dark chocolatey kind of feel to it, which is just beautiful. Like, again, it's got that exotic kind of twist to it, and it just, this I've described before would be the Dracula's kind of fragrance, going like a Bram Stoker's Dracula, because it is so seductive, it is so intoxicating. One smell of it and you'll be the one trying to bite their necks. I think it is an absolutely gorgeous, magical fragrance. It's got, again, it's got similar things. It's got patchouli, it's got a little touch of oud, but it's about the dark, sweet, beautiful rose, like a black rose in your head is how people describe it. And really, you need to smell it. It smells exactly what you think a black rose would smell like. And again, that chocolate feel. Oh, yes, it's just very yummy. Next on the list is going to be one from Collage Fragrances, and it's not the one you'd expect actually. I'm going to say, again, they're not gendered, they're just the images I'm creating in my mind. It could apply to anyone or anything, but this one will be kind of Buffy the Vampire Drusilla kind of fragrance, I imagine, and that is Auchan. And that is a very beautiful, actually, white floral. It's like a classic kind of vintage smelling white floral. It's got a lot of jasmine, it's a little tiny bit indolic, but what makes this kind of gothy and kind of magical is it has a touch of civet, maybe castoreum in it, I can't remember off the top of my head, and this gives it this kind of really musky feel again, and very vintage. Again, you can see them, picture the woman dressed in a scarlet dress with beautiful like dark black hair and maybe a red ribbon, just like, you know, Drusilla's kind of origins, and a bit crazy as well, which is exactly what Oshun is, but still with a very seductive, pretty beautifulness about it. So that's Oshun from Collage. And the next one is, come on, it's one of my list, had to have a Killian in, is Love Don't Be Shy. Now again, I know I'm swinging towards Buffy a lot with this, but there was a character called Harmony, who was basically like a vacuous, empty spaced, airheaded cheerleader who was changed, and she's got that kind of attitude of she's just into boys and makeup and bags. So this is kind of the perfect fragrance for her. It's very sweet, it's very bold, it's very in your face, it's quite saccharine, but it's still got that kind of gothic touch from it's a very dark red smelling fragrance, I think, probably from the sweet orange blossom and the other touches of notes in there. And again, it kind of, I think it kind of reminds me of Harmony because of the marshmallow note and the vanilla and that. So yeah, I think it works as a gothic fragrance. Obviously relating it to her, but it's a great fragrance. And finally on the list, just kind of going back to something that's not a gothic-y vampire-y thing, let's say a witchy fragrance. Now what would be a great witchy fragrance would be something to me like Lilique's Encre Noir, which smells a lot like me to kind of this fire and this smoke in a wood from a distance, but a really dark green verdant wood, rainy, like this, very dark and that. And obviously immediately that takes you to kind of Macbeth's witches, doesn't it, around a cauldron, and that's why I kind of feel this will be a perfect kind of dark gothic witchy fragrance. It's got it's as well as all the greenness and the kind of vetiver, the dark burnt smell, the woodiness. It's also got a little, because of that greenness, a little bit of a herbaceous kind of smell about it. So that kind of goes really, really well with that imagery of a witch. And again, just a short video really, just for a bit of fun, nothing overly descriptive, it's not too long, just an idea I had in my mind. And then I did have all my notes, but yeah, I dropped them in the mud, so so it's a bit short and sketchy. But what about you? What would you think will be the perfect kind of gothic fragrance to represent a kind of gothy person, or like a gothic imagery of vampires and monsters and witches? So yeah, anyway folks, have a great day and stay safe.